In this video, I'm going to walk you through the tech stack that supports my $40,000 a month online coaching business. Now, this video, I believe, is not necessary. I think a lot of coaches specifically get far too caught up in what the best tech is, what the best software is, when in reality, it all works. But let me run you through the setups that I'm currently running at the moment. We'll start with my computer. So the computer that I'm on right now is a 2024 iMac. I bought it this year though in 2026, so I'm a little bit pissed off that it's actually a 2024 model. You see here 2024, 16 gigabyte hard drive, RAM, with a 512 hard drive. So I upgraded the hard drive in it. It's running the latest M4 chip, I believe, so it's quite fast in that regard. Prior to that, I was running everything off a MacBook, and I still have that, so I take this to the cafes every so often, but this is running an 18 gig RAM with a 512 hard drive as well. Now, it's got a bigger RAM than the iMac, but this is running the M3 Pro chip, I think it is, so the iMac is still faster than the MacBook Pro, but this MacBook Pro I've had for a couple of years. I think it's maybe a 2022 model, and it's been an absolute beast. It's handled some pretty intense editing through Premiere Pro, and it's stood the test of time. So I've been very impressed with this. What I've made a habit of doing over the years is if I am going to buy a computer, what I like to do is just sort of max out the specs on it, or like sometimes just get some really good specs happening, because you'll be surprised just simply making some upgrades to the RAM and that sort of thing can make a big difference in the performance of the computer. But honestly, with the new M4 chips and whatever else is coming out, M5, if there's an M5 now, they can pretty much handle all things that most coaches are going to be needing. Even if you're doing some pretty intense editing, the new MacBook Pros and Airs can handle quite substantial editing as well. So they're really good computers, long story short. And if you can't tell already, I'm a massive Apple fan. I don't think Windows are very good computers at all, and I don't really care what you think. Final thing is then I have an iPad that I do quite a bit of stuff on. I tend to use my iPad more for drawing and just brainstorming things. Like if you ever see my freeform, like the diagrams that I draw and stuff like that, generally that's in freeform on my iPad. The iPad was more of like a splurge kind of thing. Like I just don't think I really need that. Like it's here on my desk, and I use it occasionally, and it's great for teaching clients and stuff like that sometimes and giving them visual demonstrations. But for the most part, the $1,200 that I spent on that could have been poured into something way more beneficial, if you ask me. Now, if we move on to my camera stack, this is the one that everyone always wants to know about. So the setup that I'm currently running is a Sony a7C II. That's the camera that you can see me recording on right now. I have 3 lenses, and I do not think this is necessary for anyone to do. This is when I went through the phase of trying to be a content creator, and I spent thousands. So this is a Sony GM 20mm lens with a 1.8 f-stop. This one here is a Sony 50mm f1.4 f-stop. This is a $2,500 lens, this one, and it does shoot some phenomenal shots. Like, I'll give it that. Like these two sort of paired together, it's insane the quality of shot that it does produce, but the price tag is definitely not worth it. And the issue with this lens is that it's a fixed, both of these lenses here are fixed lenses, which means that they can only shoot at one distance, whereas the bottom lens that we've got down here, this is a Sony GM2 24-70. This is another $2,000, $2,500-ish lens, but the best thing about this, and this is the only lens that I pretty much use these days, is that it's adjustable. So I can obviously zoom in and zoom out with it, which just makes it better because I can just do more with it. It's a 24-70, which basically means that it will cover the exact same distances as both of these, if not a little bit more. So it's just like, I wish I just had have bought the 24-70 and the body way back when. Next thing is I use this constant power adapter. So this camera at the moment, it's not running on a battery. And if you use batteries and stream, The cameras can overheat even with the overheating settings off. So I find that just having the power, a constant power adapter in it, because there's no battery, the camera doesn't heat up and then the camera doesn't overheat. And then I can run it for hours without needing to worry about the batteries running out. I store all of my footage on the Lacy rugged hard drive, I think it's called. I've got 2 of these that I have just all of my footage on and stuff like that, because I like to keep my computers as free as possible. I also run an Extreme Pro SD card, I believe it's called. I can't remember the exact one. I think it's like 256 gigabytes that then goes into this thing so I can record. And then the final thing is I'm using this desk mount right now. So this camera is sitting on this exact thing on the edge of my desk. I prefer this because then I don't have to have, like, I do have like a traditional camera tripod as well, which is very helpful. But I find it takes up a lot of space around my desk, and I'm more of like a neat and tidy type person. But this is the camera setup that I'm running. I've spent 1,200, 3,700. I've spent probably like close to 7K on this whole setup. Super unnecessary. This thing right here and the webcam that my iMac has is literally all you need, in my opinion. You can definitely start to invest in some good equipment as you scale your business, but even still, I think it's mental masturbation, the camera thing. Again, this here, when I got deep into all of this, my business revenue started to decline. Quality of content went up, business revenue declined because I was too busy trying to be a content creator and not an actual coach. Now, in terms of the audio setup that I'm running, so I'm recording right now on a Shure SM7B. It's the Joe Rogan podcast mic. It's the top of the line, right? It's the best that you can pretty much get. I'm then running some boom arm. This is not the exact one, but this is what it looks like. It's just off Amazon. I don't know how much I paid for it, maybe $100 or something like that. But the issue with running this microphone setup is that to be able to run this mic, you can't just plug it into your computer. It runs on an XLR cable system, so you need one of these Scarlett Solo boxes or just any sort of like, I don't even know what this thing is called. I just know the one that I have. And essentially this box powers the microphone, and then this cord is what connects into the mic, and then you have another cord that plugs into the computer. But the issue is with these mics, because the audio is so good on them that they can record at a lower volume. So this little thing here, the dynamite stick, plugs into this box in between the cable and the box, and it raises the volume of the audio a little bit, I believe. The audio on this is really crisp and you can hear it. And what you probably can't hear is the echo that's in the background. At the time of filming this, I'm in my living room and I don't have anything in here except for this desk. And it's like a concrete wooden floors, whatever it is. So the echo in here is massive. You can probably just hear it, but the audio on this is like insane. Here's the catch to this though. This setup is over $1,000 to get going. So again, necessary? 100% not. What you'll often see me recording a lot of things in is just these, right? These shitty $20 Apple headphones is all you need, right? You can get different sort of USB microphones and things like that, but again, I went through the stage where my ego was driving me and I just wanted to get the best of the best to try and be the best, which was just stupid looking back to all of those decisions now. Final thing is then I run the AirPod Maxes, so I've got these bad boys here, but I find that this is my second pair, right? And just in the last day, what I've noticed is that this headband bridge thing starts to get saggy, and then what it does is it presses up against the top of my head and it starts to hurt my head. Not only that, I'm also just like a bit of a tinfoil hat wearing kind of guy, and I think that the amount of EMFs that are probably coming out of that directly to the sides of my head, it's probably not a good thing to be wearing those all of the time. So a lot of the time you'll just catch me in these, whether it's recording things or listening to music. That's pretty much my go-to. Like, I find that technology is like a bit of a bell curve with things, and you'll go through a period where you don't know anything, and then you know everything, and then you go through a period where you basically don't even want to use any tech at all. In terms of the lighting setup, so at a 45-degree angle to me right now is this softbox light by Newer. I also have this, whatever this thing is called, powering it. So this is a pretty full-on lighting machine setup, whatever the heck you wanted to call this thing. I think I've spent probably like $600 to $700 maybe on this light setup. It does a really good job. As you can see, I've got some nice light coming across my face. And then I also have these RGB lights that tend to do a pretty cool job. So I can sometimes set up like a bit of a blue like this if I wanted, just these bar lights. Again, 100% not necessary, but what they do a good job of, these ones, is that you can change obviously you don't want rave mode, but you can change it to all sorts of different colors. So sometimes I just put it on like a natural one, and then if you look at the lighting here, it's not too bad, but then if I move this just like that, probably back here a little bit, I can get a bit of light on my face as opposed to completely dark. So it just can, help with that. But again, is it necessary? Absolutely not, right? You can get the Amazon softbox lights for like $50 and you can get 2 of them. So that's my lighting setup. I've had a couple of different things over the years, but this is pretty much like my go-to now. Again, I've kind of got like the best of the best before you go to like the full-on studio level. So again, like, is it necessary? No, but I've already maxed it out, so it is what it is. Now, let's dig into some of the software that I'm actually running. So I run everything through Google Calendar, and then everything through Google Chrome, or Chrome, I think they just call it now. This desktop thing is called Momentum. So many freaking people ask me about this. It's called Momentum. You can download it. It's free. I then turn off all of the settings around it. Sometimes it has like the weather and all these other things on there. I just kind of get rid of that. The other thing as well that I do on here is I always have my bookmarks minimized. So you'll see here, bookmarks on, bookmarks off. And I do that because I want to keep things clean and as distraction free as possible. Like to the point where this little red +1 on the Discord that I've got open here is already bugging me. I then run a couple of different extensions. So I use AdBlock. I don't know where I found this. It's just in the Google extensions area, I guess. Colorzilla is a really cool one. So I can pick a color from inside or outside the browser, and then what it will do is it will like see here, I can be like, all right, cool, what's that color like green? I'd love to make that color. And well, then I'll get the code for that, and then I can, get my branding right. Google Docs dark mode, I love this because it makes the outside of my documents dark. I run everything in dark mode, and I find it's just easier on my eyes. Grammarly is for your grammar correction and things like that. Most of the suggested settings that I have in this are turned off because I don't like a lot of the settings, but sometimes it does a good job of just catching spelling and a few things. I don't care about cookies is a good one. This will pretty much just automatically accept any of those like little pop-ups. It's like, do you want to accept these cookies? It just does it for you because I don't really give a shit. Like it's just, I don't care. Loom, I don't use Loom in the browser. I use Loom in the actual computer, which we'll get to in a moment. Meta Pixel Helper, this is a tool that can just help you see if your Meta Pixel is installed on a certain page correctly. So if you're running ads, you would know what I'm talking about there. Momentum is this browser you're looking at. Newsfeed Eradicator is a fantastic one. So if I go to Facebook, this is what my Facebook looks like when I log in. I don't even use Facebook these days, but like this is what it looks like. There's nothing there, right? It's pretty much just blocked. And the reason why is that Newsfeed Eradicator is basically keeping that clean. Same thing with Instagram, which I don't think is going to load, because this is another software that I use is called Freedom. And what Freedom does is it will block certain apps at certain times based on the settings that you set. But it's a great way of staying, focused. So again, here's my Instagram, exact same thing. So I can't get stuck on here and like scroll around and that sort of thing, which is obviously not ideal. Google Calendar is where I do all of my time planning and stuff like that. Although I am sort of going to try to get into the old school traditional notebook over the coming weeks. I want to try and minimize how much time I rely on the computer. I find I'm very reliant on the computer at the moment, and it's not a bad thing because I run an online business, obviously, but at the same time, I feel like everything is digital, and I would like to get back into just using my hands a little bit. Notion, I run pretty much my entire business and life out of Notion. School is where I host my course for all of my clients. We have a community in here, but I don't do anything with the community side in this. All of our community is actually hosted inside of WhatsApp, but the main thing here is just the classroom. This is where all of our course content is actually hosted. So School is a great platform. Audacity, this is an audio recording software. Now, with Audacity, let me show you what that actually looks like. So if I go applications, so this is Audacity, and basically what you can do is you can connect up your audio recording devices to this and just record audio. So this is one of the frustrating things about using a microphone like this and a camera, is that this mic doesn't connect to that camera, so the audio needs to be recorded separate to the video. This is how you can do it. It's just a pain in the ass, and it causes so much friction with content creation. Audio Hijack is another software that I have. This one has just different, I don't even know how to describe this. I just watched a YouTube video on it because what I noticed is that when I make Loom videos with this microphone, there is a delay in the video and audio. What this software can do is it can delay the audio so my mouth and audio match up. So it's just like some delay tool again to use this microphone. But if you think about it, how ridiculous is that? Bartender 6, what this does is, I'll open it, it will shrink this menu down. But what I've noticed is that it hides some of the apps that I want to see, and I think it's actually bugging out. That's the problem. So I don't use that at the moment, but Bartender 6 is nice because it just keeps that menu bar nice and clean. CapCut, obviously that's for video editing. I don't do much editing on the computer, but it's just there. Fathom, that's for my meeting transcriptions and meeting recordings. That gets automatically sent to my clients as well. Figma is very much just like Miro, which is just one of these boards that you'd be used to seeing. Flow is a countdown timer that I sometimes will use. So it'll open it up and it'll look like this. I usually put it in the corner and it just starts to count down, sort of if I'm following like a Pomodoro type focus block thing. But I find that on this iMac it's fine, but on my MacBook, which is only an 13 inch, takes up too much room and it bugs me. So yeah, I don't do that. Sometimes it's not here on my desk, but I use my kitchen timer from Amazon. Flux, what this does is it makes the screen go yellow depending on the time of day. It's just a lot easier on the eyes. I love that, live and die by that one. Freedom, that's what I was just explaining before. You can set this up and it can block certain apps and websites on your computer at certain times, which just allows you to focus. As you would have seen before, it was blocking Instagram, and I have it set to unblock at 10 a.m. Same thing with my email and a few other things, just so I don't get distracted, because you can have discipline and you're like, I'm not going to open it, but sometimes you might just need to open it for a quick second to do something, or you might just forget and try and open it, and then it's like, boom, hey, no, you can't do that. I also on my phone have an app called, I think it's called App Blocked. Let's have a quick look. Can't even find it. Yeah, App Block. This is the one. And essentially, same thing with this. I have this set up where it shuts off like social media and a few other things at a certain time and unlocks at a certain time just to stay focused. Freeform is where I do a lot of my like drawing and doodling and sort of, you know, visualizing sort of things. Google Chrome, obvious one. Google Drive is where I store all of my files. I keep them all in the cloud. Grammarly obviously is a big one. Hemingway, so this app here, I think you have to pay for this one, but I wanted to pay for it because I didn't like the color of it on the desktop, because you can actually just log on to it for free on the internet. But Hemingway is a famous writer, and this here will help you keep your writing level down. It'll help you write certain ways. It flags things if it's too heavy to read. So it's kind of just like a way to improve your copywriting skills. I used to rely heavily on that, and I believe that has helped me a lot over the years get good at copywriting. Next one is Loom. So this video that I'm filming now is actually on Teller, which is basically the same thing. I just like it how it's got a square one and it puts a bit of a shadow behind it. And Teller's just got a few more editing, I guess, options compared to Loom. But 90% of my like short feedback videos and like things like that are usually just Loom videos to clients. But the cool thing about Teller as well is I don't have to put on that audio delay thing for the microphone, which is also super beneficial. But yeah, Loom and Teller are my like screen recording things. Magnet is a really good one. So because I'm like a neat freak. Having a window that looks like this would drive me insane. So Magnet is an app that runs in the back, and you can drag the window into different areas of your screen and it will snap it into shape. So for example, if I go like this, see here how it goes half, or if I go in the top right corner, it'll do like along here. If I go to the top, it goes full screen. So it just makes moving things around so much easier and smoother. I also have set up what's called hot corners. You can do this in the settings here, but basically if I get my cursor and I go into the corner, it'll then bring that up, right? I can hit escape and I can do the same in the bottom right corner. So again, it just allows me to move a lot more efficient on my computer. Next we have Notion, already been through that one. Everything runs through there. Spotify, obviously for music. Teller, been through that. And then WhatsApp is just for client communication and our community. And then Zoom is where I run all of my meetings from. I pay Zoom, I think like $80 a month for some sort of storage or something like that. And I'm not sure why, but I've considered jumping into Google Meet instead because I believe that that is free, but I just haven't been bothered to do so. But those are all of the different softwares that I'm running on my computer, and as a whole, that is my entire setup. Obviously, I've got some other basics, like I run an iPhone and I've got a sit stand desk. I spend a good chunk of money on this desk because I want to have my work environment to run as efficient as possible. The internet that I have is embedded into the building, so I didn't have an option to choose, but it's fiber optic to the wall, I believe, I think it's called. So I have the ability to have anywhere from like, I think 500 down, 500 up, which in Australia is really fast, but other countries that's still quite slow. I think I've got now 200 down, 200 up is the plan that I chose because that's generally more than enough to sustain everything that I'm doing. I'm not streaming games and watching Netflix and have 10 people here all on the internet at the same time. It's literally just me, and I'm usually just scrolling on the internet, so I don't really need it that much. The only time I need good internet is when I'm running Zoom calls, but outside of that, that is the entire tech stack behind my $40,000 a month online coaching business. One final thing that I will say, I just want to make a big point of this while it's on the top of my mind, is a lot of this stuff is so unnecessary. There's thousands of dollars. There's probably at least, I'm going to say at least 12K in tech just in this category here. So unnecessary. Does it look cool and does it sound cool? 100%, right? You can nerd out on this shit real hard. But in saying that, this $12,000, if you're considering spending some of that on camera equipment, why don't you consider spending that on a new mentor? Why don't you consider spending that on more ads to scale your business, or a content editor, or an appointment setter? Or why don't you spend that money somewhere else where you're probably going to get a better return on investment? So often we get really carried away with this stuff, and trust me, I did as well. And we start to say things like, I'll create content when, I'll start a podcast when, and it's like, when I have the Shure mic, when I have the camera, and then you'll get those things and those excuses will still come up. So if you are going to justify the money, I would highly encourage you to justify it on some way that's probably going to give you a far better return on investment. And then once your cash flow is in a really good spot, you can most definitely do that, because I always use the excuse that I can write this off on tax, which I can, but at the same time, you still need that capital there to be able to buy it and then write it off on tax. And sometimes the smarter move is to invest it into something that's going to get you a better return on investment. But that's it for this video. I'll see you inside of the next one.